Okay, Stuart Watson, Alex Jones here at the King Power Stadium, where the Jamie Vardy party finished with a bang, with a celebration. He did get his goal. 200 goals from 500 games. The Foxes' farewell finishes, as was in the script, I guess, but from an Ipswich point of view, a fair bit to unpick from that, isn't there?
I'd say so, yeah. I think most Town fans appreciate the Jamie Vardy story, and I think that would have been all right having him score if Town could have got a win. In the end, as soon as that goal went in, it felt like Town never managed to claw their way back into it, and despite for the whole game really creating more chances, they lacked that spark, didn't they, in the final third to really make something happen.
A disappointing result. Kieran McKenna's verdict was we had more than enough chances to win 2 Premier League games of football today, and I know a lot of people on social media disagree and are very, very bitterly disappointed with the way things have gone. I can't disagree with the Ipswich manager. 20 shots on goal, yes, only two of them were on target, but that's the most sort of front foot Ipswich have been for a while, and it could have been a different story. It's been the tale of the season, but just didn't take their chances today, did they?
No, they didn't, and I think we were kind of getting to just before Vardy scored, and I was thinking this is the most dominant Ipswich display I've seen this season, at least in the Premier League, and when you looked at kind of the flow of the match, and I thought that Leicester would really come out of the blocks fast, given that they'd be really hyped up and ready for this, and they didn't really do too much, and I thought that Town, without going too gung-ho, approached it really, really well, and they didn't go bashing the door down, but turned the screw and started to create those chances. Just need to take one of those, and you could see the intent from the start. There was a really nice ball over the top from O'Shea to George Hurst to chase onto, and from there it's just players getting into good opportunities, but for whatever reason it's that last little bit right at the end that let them down. But before Vardy scored, I think Town probably had 3 or 4 proper clear-cut chances to take the lead, and that's the big frustration.
But Kieran McKenna made, I thought, a really valid point after the game today in terms of the performance levels. Take the results aside, if you look back at last season, the Southampton and the Leicester games, a lot of both of those games, home and away, Ipswich were very much clinging on, backs to the wall. Even in the Southampton Easter Monday game, they were getting battered in that first half. The Leicester games as well, and they managed to get results somehow by sticking in games. This year, the Southampton home game ended really disappointingly, but were the better team for most part of it. Today, similar. So there's something to be said about the sort of the getting closer in terms of performance levels. And I know football's about results. I know that. I'm not stupid, but that is a valid point to say that the narrative has changed from Ipswich being major underdogs last year, got no right to compete against Southampton, Leicester, Leeds, to now there being sort of a disappointment that Ipswich have been the better team for large spells and not quite able to get results. And I think that's fair to say, isn't it?
I'd say so, and I think you're kind of then in this middle period, aren't you, now, where last season you say it's underdogs, it's backs to the wall, it's fight and character and personality and spirit to make sure that even if the other team are better than you, you're going to go and get that result against them. This season, you're then in this kind of middle ground where the performances are better and the expectations then have shifted, but the fact that you're at this level means that the shift is kind of almost really difficult to take on. This is where next season's going to be the big talking point now, where Ipswich will be I think the favourites to win the championship title. They will be one of the biggest and richest teams in that level, and that's the first time where they're going to have to deal with that expectation shift, and I will have that leniency with them in this period where they're coming into games and playing really well and things aren't going for them, and there are little bits that are really frustrating and disappointing and have to be addressed, and you can't ignore them, but you also have to look at the other side of things. They're not going to have that next season, so that's going to be the interesting bit for me. At the moment, it's just kind of like this limbo period as we stretch through to the end of the season.
Last year's gone. You don't get a free hit forever. There are some major lessons to be taken from this season, and we've got plenty of time to get our teeth into all of this. We've said it so many times. They needed everything to go their way this season. Referees, injuries, little sort of fine margin games tipping earlier, if they'd have got that home win over the line earlier in the season, who knows how this season would have played out. It's not worked out that way. Today, maybe a bit of muscle memory. They've not been used to being teams that have been on the front foot, creating chances, and that's why they didn't take the chances today. But look, difficult one. I've got mixed feelings about today. I understand the frustration. Ipswich have lost again. They're down to 19th. Ross Halls is glancing at me to say, wrap up. It's time to go. We've got podcasts and various things to get into this. One more to go, everybody. West Ham at home. We'll see you then.